Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to honor the mystery that's literally thousands of years old. We're talking about fossil-fueled fantasies, the real origins of mythical monsters. So, let's talk about monsters. You know, griffins, cyclops, dragons, they're everywhere in our stories. But have you ever stopped to think, really think, about where those ideas first came from? And look, it's easy to just say, oh, it's imagination, right? But what if the answer was something real, something you could actually touch, something buried right under our feet? Because it turns out, the answer isn't just fantasy, it's fossils. Seriously, what we're diving into today is this amazing idea that ancient myths might just be humanity's first crack at paleontology. Okay, so how does this actually work? Let's open up our first case file. And we're starting with a big one, a truly majestic creature from mythology, the griffin. So, you know the drill with the griffin, right? It's this incredible mashup of two top-tier predators. You've got the head and the forelegs of a massive eagle grafted onto the body and hind legs of a lion. It's got that terrifying, sharp, curving beak, and the stories, they almost always have it out in some remote desert, fiercely guarding a whole nest of gold. What an image, right? But here's the twist. What if those ancient storytellers, the gold miners who first came up with this, what if they weren't describing a monster they saw? What if they were just describing a skeleton they stumbled upon out in the sand? And this is where it all just clicks into place. The griffin myth lines up, almost perfectly, with the fossil of a dinosaur called a protoceratops. And guess where you find these fossils? The Gobi Desert, the exact same place the griffin stories started. Check this out. The myth says sharp beak. Well, protoceratops had this crazy parrot-like bone beak. A four-legged body? Yep, protoceratops was a quadruped. But what about the wings, right? Well, the fossil has this big, bony neck frill that, if you're just looking at a skeleton, could totally look like a pair of folded wings. And here's the kicker. Guarding gold, these fossils are constantly found right near gold deposits. The miners weren't just fantasizing. They were literally describing what was in the ground in front of them. So there you have it. A fossil becomes a myth. It's an amazing pattern. Let's see if it holds up with case file number 2. And this is maybe the most famous one-eyed monster of all time, the Cyclops. We all know the Cyclops, right? Thanks to Homer's Odyssey, this image of a fierce, lawless giant is basically burned into our brains. He paints this picture of them as this terrifying force of nature. But the whole legend, everything about this creature really just hangs on one single unforgettable feature. Just one. One giant eye smack dab in the middle of the forehead. So the question is, where in the world did the ancient Greeks get an idea that strange? Okay, let's meet our prime suspect, a creature called the Dinotherium. Now, this was an extinct, prehistoric cousin of the modern elephant. And here's the crucial clue. Their huge fossilized skulls were just everywhere, all over ancient Greece and the Mediterranean islands. Okay, just look at this side by side. It's wild. On one side, the myth. On the other, the actual skull. Now, put yourself in their shoes for a second. You're an ancient Greek, you've never even heard of an elephant. You're walking along and you stumble upon this massive skull. And right in the center, there's this huge single hole. You have no idea it's where the trunk attaches. What's the most logical conclusion you can draw? It's gotta be a giant eye socket, right? And boom! Just like that, a perfectly reasonable but wrong interpretation of a fossil skull gives birth to the legendary Cyclops. So, the griffin, the Cyclops, these aren't just one-off cool stories. They actually show us a pattern, a kind of ancient scientific method, if you will, for making sense of the unknown. Let's break down how we get from a mysterious bone to a full-blown myth. It seems to happen in 3 simple steps, and it's surprisingly consistent. First up, discovery. Ancient people are just going about their lives, and they dig up these huge, weird bones they've never seen before. Step 2, deduction. They use what they know, logic, and observation to try and piece together what this thing could have looked like. They're basically playing paleontologist without knowing it. And finally, step 3, description. Their best guess, their most plausible explanation gets turned into a story. And that story gets told and retold and embellished until it becomes a legend, a myth. And that's really the key takeaway here. Our ancestors weren't just sitting around campfires fantasizing. They were observing the world around them. They were finding strange, mysterious evidence in the ground, and they were using reason to try and explain it. It's kind of amazing when you think about it. In a very real sense, they were the world's first fossil hunters. So that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If ancient people created these incredible monsters from a logical but flawed interpretation of fossils, what modern monsters might we be creating right now from things we just don't understand yet? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.
Like and subscribe to learn more about mysteries of the past. Share now.